Hello class, and welcome back to the third and final video of the Excel Review Solution series. In part 1 we completed the values for column C using the VLOOKUP function. In the second part we looked at the sum function and the basic arithmetic required to complete most of the values in columns D and F. And in this third and last part we will look at the function if that we are going to use in cell F8 on this spreadsheet. The final determination that we need to make to complete this spreadsheet is to find out whether or not this project is running over budget. Now we're going to do this in a simple fashion. We are not going to calculate how much our budget is over our estimate. We are simply going to indicate yes or no. Yes, our project is over budget, or no, our project is not over budget. So anytime you have to answer a question if or whether, you will be using the if function or one of its variants in Excel. Let's insert the if function using the Formulas tab on the ribbon and the Insert Function button. Our if function takes 3 arguments, only one of which is actually required. It is the first argument, which is called the logical test, and the description of this argument is any value or expression that can be evaluated to true or false. A logical test is also often called a condition, and a condition is any statement that we can make that is either true or false, not a maybe, not a number, but actually true or false, yes or no. So for example, the logical test or statement 5 is greater than 3 is a condition, is a logical test because that is in fact true. The statement 3 is greater than 5 is false. It's a logical test or a condition. However, 2 plus 2 is not a logical test. 2 plus 2 equals 4. That's not true or false. So the logical test here is a condition, and most of the time your conditions are going to be comparisons. Not all the time, but most of the time your conditions are going to be comparisons. So you're going to think about a condition that is going to help us determine if our project is running over budget using the numbers that we already have in this spreadsheet. So in this case, the easiest way to determine if our project is running over budget is to look at the actual expenditures, which is found in cell F7, and to determine if those are greater than the budgeted expenditures from cell D7. That right there, this expression F7 greater than D7 is a logical test because it can be evaluated to true or false. Now at this time it evaluates to false. At this time F7 is not greater than D7. Indeed, $680 is not greater than $885. Now the next two arguments for the if function is the value if true and value if false. Essentially, we are going to use those arguments to tell Excel what to do if our logical test ends up being true, and what to do if our logical test ends up being false. Now, what to do could be any number of things. Very often we might ask Excel to perform a specific calculation. Sometimes we'll just ask Excel to display a value. In this case, we are going to ask Excel to display a value. So if F7 is greater than D7, if the actual cost is greater than the budget cost, then that means we are over budget. So we want Excel to show the value yes. Now, unfortunately, we cannot use just the word yes. When you type in a word in Excel, as opposed to a number or a date, as part of a formula, Excel is going to expect that word to be the name of a function. So just like our formula has the word if in it, and if is the name of a function in Excel, Excel is now expecting the word yes to be a function. Well, the word yes is not a function. We literally mean we want Excel to show the word yes. In order to make that happen, we have to enclose our word using double quotes. Now we're also going to provide something for Excel to do if our value is false. In other words, what to do if F7 is not greater than D7. If the total actual cost is not greater than the total budgeted cost. Then we want Excel to use the word no, because the answer to the question, is our project running over budget, is no. And we can already see now that the outcome of the formula as it currently stands is indeed no. Our project is not currently running over budget. But I would like to test and make sure that this will work should our project run over budget. How will I do that? Well, I will change some of my actual units. If I add a few extra units of equipment A, I will quickly go over budget. If I change the number of units of equipment A from 2 to 4, then my total project cost has now increased to $880, which is not yet exceeding my estimated or my budgeted project cost. But if I add just another small item, maybe one extra supply, now my total project cost is $900, which does indeed exceed $885. So the answer to the question, is our project over budget, has now become yes. So that is one way to use the if function in Excel. I would like to review one more item as part of this Excel solution review video, and that is the concept of a named range. I'm going to switch to the project item cost worksheet, and in the formulas tab on the ribbon you will find the name manager. Let's take a look at what we currently have in the name manager. The name manager has defined one named range. The name of my named range is project item cost without spaces. And my named range project item cost refers to the cells A2 through C6 in my project item cost worksheet. Now, this named range with our current workbook does not add particularly much value. I could come up with the same solution to the problem without using a named range. Now, the value of the named range is going to become obvious once we start making changes to our list of project items. Let's take a look. Let's say that we have a new type of project item that might be used in projects, and it might be administrative assistant. So for each hour of an administrative assistant's time, the project will be charged $15. Now I would like to use some administrative assistant time in project A, so I will first insert a new row in my spreadsheet to make some room and type in administrative assistant. I'm going to budget 5 hours of time, and of course I want to look up that unit cost. I'm going to copy the formula from the row above, and there is no unit cost available for administrative assistant. Let's take a look at why that is the case. Well, we are asking Excel to go look up the value of cell A4 in my project item cost named range, and then return the third column from that named range. Well, as it currently stands, my named range does not include row 7, the administrative assistant. Now let's imagine what I would have to do if I did not have a named range. Without a named range, the VLOOKUP would look like this. This is what my VLOOKUP function would look like. I would go and look for the sheet project item cost, and in the project item cost sheet I would use range A2 through C6. Now of course that same reference to that range A2 through C6 on the project item cost spreadsheet would be made in all of the formulas in column C. If I used a project B, C, D and so on spreadsheet, I would have that same reference, that same range A2 through C6 in all of those spreadsheets and in all of the rows on all of those spreadsheets. Now if I needed to add a 7th row, I would have to change every one of those spreadsheets and every one of those VLOOKUP functions to change C6 into C7. That could be a very tedious process, but more importantly, it would become a very tricky thing to do because it would be very easy to forget to change just one of those VLOOKUP functions, and I might have unexpected results. So therefore, I have defined the named range project item cost in my Excel review workbook. Now by doing that, now I have to make a change once and only once. I go back to the name manager and change the definition of my named range from A2 through C6 into A2 through C7. I'm going to confirm that, close my name manager and go back to project A. And now I have automatically found the unit cost for an administrative assistant. And I can very easily copy and paste some additional formulas. Also notice how my sum function automatically updated to include the new row 4 in its range. Hopefully this Excel review video series has proven helpful to you. After watching this, you will now redo the Excel review exercise on your own and submit it back to Blackboard. Good luck.